As a member of the NAACP, I was very much concerned at the national level and then the local level, the position taken when we talk about social justice and civil rights. But the one thing the Legislative Bloc Caucus members have learned through our life experiences and academic experience is to follow the money. And when you look at who support a lot of this stuff that we get involved with, we're part of coalitions, and that's what happened with bill reform. The Bloc Caucus said that we support bill reform, but it's being done wrong. It's not going to help us the way it should. Now today they're saying it doesn't help us, we got to fix it. And sometimes Black folk and people around need to take leadership role and have coalitions come behind us. I think that's important. When you follow the money with the George Soros and people like that, when I look at some of our civil rights organizations and ACLUs and see the kind of money that's flowing out there to promulgate good intentions, if you will, but beyond what it does to do harm to our community, I get very much concerned. So we always have follow the money. Bishop James.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You're here at NAACP, and I got to say, Richard and I take definitely an issue on this. I'm shocked at the NAACP, but then I'm probably one of the oldest persons in here. I walked with Martin King. I was with Malcolm as a teenager. So what y'all reading about, I lived. I'm the president. I'm Bishop Jethro James. I'm the president of North Jersey Committee of Black Churchmen, as well as a senior pastor of the Paradise Baptist Church. I'm also a licensed social worker. I'm on the board of St. Michael's Hospital in Newark. As a bishop, I'm responsible for all social action for all full gospel Baptist churches in the state of New Jersey, along with being a chaplain for the New Jersey State Police, one of the survivors of 9/11 Ground Zero. And so I've been in the game a long time. I've come to warn you about the dangers of trying to pass legislation that makes empty promises. Number one, I was fortunate enough to receive an education and work in the corporate world along with Senator Rice. I retired from PSE&G as an urban development executive after 38 years of service, which allows me to get a great pension and have some other things. However, everyone in the community certainly won't be able to do that, because we know the first thing that marijuana will do is devastate communities of color. They will not be employable anywhere. He said no clapping, no clapping. Amen, amen. They will not be able to be employed anywhere. We know that those who seek employment will never work, number one, for the state of New Jersey, who is trying to pass it. They won't be driving buses, won't be on trains. They will not be in law enforcement. They cannot teach schools in the state of New Jersey because they cannot pass a drug test. They will not work in the transit system. They will not work in the prison system. However, they will probably be part of the prison system. They will not work at any major corporation because they cannot pass a drug test. In the state of New Jersey, you cannot work for Home Depot. You cannot work for Lowe's because you're driving heavy equipment. You will not have employment. If unemployment is 5% in Parsippany, it's 15% in Newark and Patterson. The reality is it will devastate the best and the brightest in our community. I've come by to let you know this morning that our young people will become heavy users, if not already, of marijuana. It's tragic. People that are saying you train children. Children do what children do. That's why you tell them don't stick a plug or something in an electric socket, because children will always do what children always do. It robs them of their family life because they're getting high. It robs them of their education because they won't stay in school. It robs them. We're talking about legalizing a substance that at best will put the brightest and the best of our community in a situation where they will never be employed in any major situation, therefore devastating them and causing them to do other things with the rest of their life. The legalization approach will keep our people, you say, out of jail, but the majority of kids in states that have legalized marijuana find out that 55% of African Americans in Denver, children from the age 11 to 16 are arrested because now they come through a juvenile system first. The reality is that the African American community, these 11 to 16-year-olds, because they possess something in cannabis. In the Hispanic community, it's a 34% increase in Colorado. It did go down 8% in the Caucasian community. I wonder why. Colorado puts its shops predominantly. We did the geo mapping in African American and poor communities. In some cases, there are more pot shops around than there are McDonald's as well as Starbucks in Denver itself. I'm certain that when we look at what's going on in healthcare, just recently, we try to compare alcohol and tobacco. There's $1 trillion push to get everyone hooked on tobacco. Now there's $1 billion push to get everybody off of tobacco. This became a multi-billion-dollar industry. The American Medical Association, in its recent journal, has already talked about what cannabis will do to your heart and your lungs. We know what tobacco will do, and cannabis, because of its component, is made up of things that will hurt us 3 times faster. But now we want you to stop smoking. There's a thing out that says that there's a test case that women who are in their first trimester of pregnancy, that marijuana will stop you from having morning sickness. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen to your fetus. And if you continue to smoke it, you will find out that it'll be in your breast milk. These are medical facts. No one wants to talk about this, and so the damage is being done to us in the very womb. But where will it be? I sit on the board of St. Michael's Hospital. I'm deeply concerned when one weekend we had 29 young people come in, and they were just shot out. Well, somebody said it wasn't legal cannabis. The legal cannabis, well, how do we know? Because we're seeing what's happening in the black market. We know that there are children, if we have a glass of wine or a glass of beer, was stated, or some other hard liquor, if we're drinking it, it only impacts our organs. But if we're smoking it and there's a young child in the room, he or she who is trying to develop their brain, develop their lungs, develop their inside, is now taking this in. We're seeing in Colorado, since they wanted to quote that, emergency run poison incidents in children and babies from 0 to 8 years old, a 70% increase in poisoning. Let me say this, there is no EpiPen for marijuana like there is for peanuts. The reality is that we're seeing things already. Numerous towns have banned marijuana shops. Let's talk about the counties that have banned marijuana shops. Put it in the hood and let the ghetto have it and kill their children, kill their opportunity, give their chances for jobs. Let's put it where we need to say it. The government himself, the Governor Murphy himself, has his county has banned marijuana. So the governor can't come out and even buy him a joint if he wants one. That's reality. No, that's reality. And so passing these ordinances in towns, once again, they want to put it in the African American neighborhood. And to some of my young colleagues that talk about there's going to be money, nobody is talking about, the Bible states this: no man goeth to war or builds a house without counting the cost. If it's an all cash industry, who's going to pay the bean counters to collect that? Where you going to keep the cash? It's only going to increase problems in our own community. And so the reality of legalizing marijuana, it's going to devastate the African American community. We need to think long and hard, and long and hard, and long and hard, what it's going to do to our community. Dr. Martin Luther King stated this as I close: you can pass laws on lynching, but it doesn't stop them from hanging me. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to hang something on the African American community. And once again, as I close, to have someone that doesn't look like me, to quote George Washington, when George Washington owned slaves, when the fathers of this country, we weren't people. Don't treat us, we're people now. Thank you.
It's not Sunday, this is today.